Now I'm delighted to welcome into, the clubhouse actually, it's not our studio, Nick Rockey, who's the Managing Director of Trialogue, who have recently, last 2 days, had a conference, CSI Conference. Welcome to you, Nick.
Thank you very much.
Well, just tell us first of all, what is Trialogue? It's after dialogue, isn't it? What does it mean?
Yes, well, it's just the name really. It's a three-way conversation, if you like, instead of a two-way conversation. So the development space very much depends on the role of business. It depends on civil society and that of government. So
right.
It was a play on that, really.
Okay. And in terms of the CSI conference that you've had, I see here that business spent 8.1 billion rand on corporate social investment, and that was sort of between 2014 and 15. What kind of impact does that enormous sum, it sounds like an enormous sum of money, have?
It does sound like a big number, and we estimate every year. We do research, and we come up with an estimate of what that spend looks like. And it is a big number, but it's relatively small compared to what government is spending on the likes of education and that. So our message to companies is really how to leverage that relatively small investment to create a larger impact.
Yes.
And there are a variety and multiple programs. Some are highly effective, others less effective.
Yeah.
Some might not really have any impact at all. So you get quite a wide range of types of projects within that spend.
Do companies have to donate a certain percentage of their profits?
There's no legal requirement, but companies have for years contributed. In the old days through the Chairman's Fund. More recently, it becomes part of the scorecard, the BEE scorecard.
Yes.
So companies would need to spend 1% of their profit after tax in order to get points that contribute to their BEE scorecard.
Okay. And that is freely done. I suppose we're talking about big business now, are we?
We're talking about big business, but also small business. We track big business expenditure mostly because that's where most of the money has been spent. So we look at very much from a sort of top-down perspective.
Yes.
But a lot of organizations, whether they're the local hardware store or the local corner cafe, would give away certain amounts as well. I don't think it's particularly the domain of big business.
No. Okay, so we're all playing our part, if you like. In terms of this 8.1 billion rand given, annually last year, what is the spend on in different areas? What gains most?
Yeah, so most of it goes into education,
yes.
And we've seen that grow from just under 40% of spend to now close to 50% of the spend.
Yeah.
And then the other main sectors are sort of healthcare and then just a general community development category, which picks up all the philanthropic side of donations, whether that's a hospice or a food scheme or anything like that.
Yeah. So what is Trialogue's role in all of this, in this spend, and what was the conference all about?
We're really commentators on the space. So we look for where there's lead thinking, where there's new trends in the space, and there are some exciting developments. And we try and harness those developments and then bring them through our publication, our CSI Handbook, and our conference to an audience where they can engage those topics and hopefully become better at what they do.
We see various banks getting involved in for instance, conservation, just as an example. Do you find that most companies do get involved in that way, or do they give it to an NGO or to give it to some charitable organisation and say, well, there's our 1% or there's our percentage, and then wash their hands of it? Do companies, do you find, follow through on their donation?
It again depends. There's a variety of ways of giving, and the old way was very much writing out a check and then abdicating that responsibility to the organisation who might be an implementing partner or an NPO. Increasingly, companies are starting to develop longer-term partnerships with those implementing agencies and having a much greater interest in what results are achieved. And setting up monitoring processes, sitting down with those implementing partners and really sharing the lessons. So that's where it's going. It's not all there. There's still sort of check writing out, if you like, but I think there's a lot more interest being shown by companies.
You can see that there are various companies who are looking at it long term, and it actually forms part of their marketing, public relations, advertising strategy, doesn't it?
It does often play back into reputation, but also other parts of the company. So, and we believe that makes sense. So, to align what you're doing to the nature of your business. You know, if you're a food company, you understand food security, you're better able to contribute in that space. If you're an ICT company, you could, for instance, as a Vodacom or an NTN, give away bandwidth for developmental reasons. Now, you can do that more effectively than someone who's not in the ICT space.
Yeah.
So I think it's a case of 1 + 1 adding up to 3, and that's what we look to try and achieve through this space.
Okay. Well, the conference, can we just talk about that a little bit? It was over the last 2 days, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And I was just rather intrigued in Trialogue's Donor's Den, which follows on from the, or echoes the Dragon's Den scenario on television that we've seen. How does that work?
Well, at the conference we have companies and we have NPOs. The NPOs are really interested in how to pitch their particular offering to funders. Yeah. And what Dragon's Den is designed to do is to actually have a live case study of that pitch. So we advertise and select 3 NPOs, and then we get 3 companies to be the dragons in this instance. And they listen to those pitches and comment on those pitches and feed back to the NPOs around why they would or wouldn't buy into that particular offer that's put out there. And there's a small incentive. We give away a page in our handbook for the NPO that wins effectively. The audience votes and the judges voted, and we commented on the quality of the pitch. So not only the NPOs who are pitching can learn from that process, but those in the room will see what typically a company looks for when they are actually getting approached for funding.
How far down the road this has gone from rattling tins on a street corner? Yes,
I think that you know, with the development space and variety or various forms of funding, there's room for all of that. There's room for the street corner. There's room for crowdfunding. There's room for social enterprise. There's some new things coming through, like impact bonds, which are high-end, sophisticated instruments to fund development. So all of these things are coming into play, and it's very interesting to track it all.
Is your role in Trialogue partly to identify the needs of the country and what is needed and where and how much? Do you advise on that?
No, well, not really. I mean, the needs are very well documented.
Yes.
And there's no shortage of demand for support. Whichever development sector you're going into, whichever level of education you're going to, there's a need for support. Our role is more to advise on how best to help companies really leverage what they've got to greater effect, to choose a space that makes sense and resonates to that business, and so that they can actually achieve good things from a developmental point of view, and also that it plays back to the business.
Is there anybody watching over or giving any sort of award for the good that this money is doing by various different institutions?
There are awards out there. The Mail and Guardian has Investing in the Future Awards. We have what we call a Strategic CSI Award. And we announced the winner as that company. We've got some academics who support the adjudication of that. And the winner would be the company that's achieving both impact for the business and for the development space that they choose to work in.
So two-pronged, really.
It's a two-pronged thing, yeah. And this is founded on you know, the sort of shared value proposition that's been put out there, and the whole role of business and society is one of more of shared value as opposed to just looking after bottom line profits. So there's a broader conversation concept that supports and underpins that thinking.
How long has Trialogue been in operation?
We were formed in 1999, so we've been around 17 odd years now. Starting to feel old.
Why should you feel any different to the rest of it? If people want to get involved, and indeed are you looking for people to get involved in your organisation, or do they sign up?
We're a small private company, and people are welcome to approach us and to see if there's a role for them to play.
Yes.
We do have consultants, but
And those consultants you could send out to a company to advise. Would you do that?
Yes, we would. Often we go and look in on projects where money's been spent. So companies spending a lot of money wants to check that those projects are being impactful.
Right.
And we will go and review that. We help companies with their strategy and the like of that, and helping them, set up systems and processes to run their program.
It's great to hear that education is the top place where these funds are being spent. What's the second and third?
Healthcare and community development are the two that follow that.
Okay.
And then there's a number of others, like housing and sports development, and a few others that would also attract some revenue. But it's relatively small compared to the others.
Okay. Well, that's lovely. So if people would like to get hold of you or find out more from Trialogue, your website?
It's www.trialogue, which is like dialogue with a TRI in front, trialogue.coza. And we've got a lot of material. Our handbook is online, and it's freely downloadable in electronic format. And we get a lot of stats and numbers that show the research results in the handbook, and people are welcome to download that.
Well, Nick Rockey, MD of Trialogue, many thanks for joining us today at Evergreen Lifestyle.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.